Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Evan Rides Bikes. I didn't want to go out and ride this week because it was cold and wet. So I figured I'd talk to you about the kind of bike that I ride when it's cold and it's wet. I am really excited about this episode. I have put a lot of thought into this bike and how to balance that sort of budget material with how to still make a bike that's fun to ride, that's fast to ride. Now, without taking any more of your guys' time, let's get into this bike check. So I was pretty fortunate. I actually got the frame of the bike for free from a good friend. It's a GT Timberline from probably the mid-90s is what I'm gonna say. That's not to say that that's your only option. If you're looking for a bike to build up for winter, or just even something that you can buy full on, check your local co-ops or a secondhand store, anything like that. Those are great places to look for a secondhand bike that you're okay kind of beating up and leaving out in the rain. It's not the end of the world if something gets stolen off of it. So that's what I'd recommend there. The first thing that I want to talk about when you're riding a bike in the winter, or even just any time it's raining, fenders. I'll tell you what, fenders I have hated forever. They rattle around a little bit, they're a bit noisier, they make your bike a little bit heavier, but they seriously are going to keep you so much drier. A good pair of full coverage fenders you can get for about 60 bucks. It is a lot. I think it's a worthwhile purchase, especially if you do a lot of riding in the rain. I opted for a cheap plastic set from Bontrager. Now after the fenders, if you're doing a lot of riding during the winter, I think the next most essential part of a bike is getting a good set of lights. If you're riding during the winter, the sun sets early, it rises late. If you're a commuter, you're doing a lot of riding in the dark. They don't have to be expensive. Most of them are.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
But the point is, invest in a good set of lights. Now, I think the next most important thing for a winter bike is an affordable drivetrain. Now, there's a difference there between affordable and cheap, right? Affordable, it feels good, it's well performing, it's just inexpensive to replace parts when it needs to be replaced. I think there are great options from SRAM and Shimano out there right now, but in terms of the kind of budget category, I think the best bet is going with a bit of a smaller company. I've chosen to go with a company called Microshift. Their Advent series drivetrain is fantastic compromise between affordability and performance. So I've got an 11 to 42 tooth cassette. That gives me a ton of shifting options. I've paired that with a raceface narrow wide 42 tooth chainring, and also I decided to go with a pretty solid set of xpedo spry pedals. They've been fantastic for me. They're super lightweight, great bearing system, so I'm confident I can ride it in the rain for years and years and years. It's also a really grippy pedal, which is super important. If you don't have any other sort of foot retention system, get a grippy pedal. If you don't want to go for the sprys, raceface Chesters are also a great pair of sub $50 pedals. Super grippy, well built, they're gonna last you a long time. You can also just get a pair off of like Amazon, but I like to support, not Amazon, I guess. The next thing I'm really excited about is the tires on these guys. Gravel King SK Plus. Haven't had a single puncture with them. Winter roads in Portland are terrible too. I have ran over stuff where I've thought absolutely gonna be walking home the rest of the way, and these tires have somehow marvelously held up. They're a 26 by 2.1 inch tire, which I think for winter commuting is absolutely fantastic. It's gonna give you a lot of comfort, a lot of air between you and the road. It's a heavy ass bike though. This guy weighs in at about 31 pounds. But, when you're just cruising around in the rain, nothing makes it feel better than being dry. Finally, when you're cruising around in the grossness, you want a saddle that's not going to absorb a lot of water. I picked up a cheap Brooks Cambium. This is their C15. I picked it up off of Craigslist here in town. A great deal if you don't mind sitting on something someone else has already sat on, you know? I find it to be super durable, great in the weather. It doesn't soak up any water, so it's not going to transfer that water to you. It's not the most comfortable saddle I've ever had. I absolutely love the C17. I wish I could have found another one for this guy, but you know, when you're doing it on a budget and Craigslist is the main place you're shopping, you kind of go with what you can. So those are kind of all the notable features about this bike. I'm really happy with this. Like I said, I'm not done with it. I'm really excited to trick it out a little bit more. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for future videos on it. If you like this one, be sure to hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. Let's start a conversation. Would you do anything differently? What would you set it up with? What am I missing? Let's like be friends and get to know each other. Or maybe we already know each other. Just say hi. Let me know you made it to the end of the video. That'd be cool. I love that when people do that. Really. Leave that comment. Hit the subscribe button. We're gonna trick this thing out. I'm gonna make this my bike packing rig. I don't even care. Hell, I'll set those up tubeless. Don't dare me to, I will. Are you even recording? Is this thing even on? How many of you noticed him? He was right here the whole time. The whole video. Did you know?